What if I told you the UK economy is hanging by a thread, and 2025 could be the year everything comes crashing down? Think about this. House prices are plunging, small business rates. The national debt has hit over £2.6 trillion. And guess what? This is just the beginning. Inflation is eating away your savings, wages aren't keeping up, and millions of people are struggling just to pay for food, rent, and energy bills. But here's the scary part. Things could get much worse. Could we see another financial crash like 2008? A wave of bank failures? A complete economic meltdown? Most people are sleepwalking into disaster, but today you won't be one of them. Because in this video, I'm breaking down 10 shocking reasons why the UK economy is on the verge of collapse, and what you can do to protect yourself. And trust me, by the time we reach reason number 10, you'll realize just how dangerously close we are to the edge. So stick around, because if you think things are bad now, you haven't seen anything yet. Number 1. Government debt spiraling out of control. Let's start with one of the biggest warning signs. Spiraling out of control, and there's no escape in sight. The UK's national debt has crossed a staggering £2.6 trillion, which is now more than 100% of the country's entire GDP. That means the government owes more money than the entire economy produces in a year. And here's the scary part. It's only getting worse. Every single day the UK borrows millions just to keep the system running. But as interest rates rise, the cost of paying back this debt is exploding. The government is now spending billions just on interest payments alone, more than it spends on key public services like education, transport, or policing. And guess what? That money has to come from somewhere. So what happens next? Higher taxes, brutal spending cuts, and a weaker economy. You've already seen it. More austerity, more public sector strikes, and collapsing infrastructure. The NHS is struggling, and councils across the country are literally declaring bankruptcy. This isn't just a financial issue, it's a full-blown crisis. And the worst part? The government can't just print money to solve this, because that would send inflation soaring even higher. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. The only way out? Massive tax hikes or devastating spending cuts. Either way, the people lose. But that's just the first reason the UK economy is heading for disaster. Next, let's talk about something even worse. Number 2. Stagflation, the worst of both worlds. If you thought high inflation was bad, imagine dealing with inflation and a stagnant economy at the same time. That's exactly what's happening right now, and it's called stagflation. One of the most dangerous economic conditions a country can face. When prices rise, wages go up too. But in stagflation, everything just gets worse. Prices keep climbing, but economic growth slows down, meaning businesses stop hiring, people lose jobs, and those who still have one find their paychecks buying less and less each month. It's a nightmare scenario. The Bank of England has been raising interest rates aggressively to fight inflation, but here's the problem. It's not working fast enough. Food, energy, rent, everything is still way more expensive than it was a couple of years ago, and wages aren't keeping up. That means the average person is getting poorer in real terms. And the scariest part, there's no easy way out. If the government cuts interest rates to boost growth, inflation will skyrocket. If they keep rates high to control inflation, the economy could crash even harder. It's a lose-lose. So what does this mean for you? Less money in your pocket, higher living costs, and an even tougher job market. And with businesses already struggling, things could spiral out of control fast. What do you think? Have you noticed prices going up while wages stay the same? Comment below and let's talk about it. And if you want to stay ahead of these economic changes, hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more you need to know. Now, if you think stagflation is bad, wait until you hear what's happening in the housing market. This is where things get really scary. Number 3. The housing market meltdown. Picture this. You saved for years, finally bought a home, and locked in a mortgage. Then suddenly, boom, interest rates skyrocket, your monthly payments double, and you're struggling to keep up. That's not just a hypothetical scenario, it's happening. For years, the housing market was on fire. Cheap borrowing meant people could afford bigger mortgages, pushing home prices higher and higher. But then came the rate hikes. The Bank of England started increasing interest rates to fight inflation, and suddenly, mortgage repayments became a financial nightmare. Homeowners who were paying £800 a month on their mortgage are now seeing payments soar to £1,500 or even £2,000. Some can barely afford to keep up. Others, they're being forced to sell fast. And that's where the real danger begins. As more people rush to offload their homes, prices plummet. Buyers can't afford high mortgage rates, demand drops, and suddenly the market is in free fall. Properties that were worth £300,000 a year ago, now struggling to sell for £250,000. And this is just the beginning. But landlords are feeling the pressure too. Higher mortgage costs mean higher rents, but renters are already stretched thin. If tenants can't afford to pay, landlords start offloading properties, flooding the market with even more homes, driving prices down even further. It's a vicious cycle, and there's no easy way out. So what happens next? Mass foreclosures, a rental crisis, and a potential housing market collapse on a scale we haven't seen in decades. And if you think this sounds bad, wait until you hear what's happening to small businesses, because they're getting hit even harder. Number 4. Small businesses on the brink. Walk down any high street in the UK, and you'll see the signs, literally. Closing down sale, everything must go, and boarded up shops where bustling businesses used to be. This isn't just a few unlucky businesses struggling. This is a full-blown crisis. The backbone of the UK economy are going under at an alarming rate. Rising costs, higher wages, and fewer customers are squeezing them from all sides. More than 50% of small businesses say they're barely staying afloat, and thousands are shutting their doors every single month. Why? Because everything costs more. Rent has gone up, energy bills have soared, raw materials and supply chain costs are through the roof. And with inflation eating away at people's spending power, customers just aren't spending like they used to. Even businesses that survived the pandemic are now drowning in debt. Many took out government loans to stay afloat, but now those repayments are due, and they can't keep up. Banks aren't lending like they used to, and those that do are charging sky-high interest rates. And let's not forget, when businesses fail, people lose jobs. Small and medium-sized businesses employ around the UK's private sector workforce. If they collapse, unemployment skyrockets. More job losses mean less consumer spending, and the whole economy spirals downward. But here's the part no one is talking about. Big corporations are eating up what's left. While small businesses struggle, mega corporations are buying up failing shops and dominating industries. The rich get richer, the small guy gets wiped out. And if small businesses are collapsing now, just wait until the next energy crisis hits, because that's coming sooner than you think. Here's why the UK's energy disaster is far from over. Number 5. The energy crisis. Remember when energy bills skyrocketed in 2022 and the government had to step in with emergency support? Well, here's the harsh reality. That crisis never really ended. It was just paused. And now the UK is teetering on the edge of another energy shock. Harder. For starters, the UK still relies heavily on imported gas and oil, which means we're at the mercy of global energy markets. And with ongoing conflicts, supply chain disruptions, and unpredictable demand, prices could spike overnight. If another global energy crunch happens, your bills could double. Again. And here's something even more worrying. Government support is disappearing. The energy price cap kept bills from getting completely out of control, but that relief is fading. No more subsidies, no more discounts, just full-priced energy hitting your wallet. Meanwhile, businesses are getting crushed. Energy-intensive industries like manufacturing, restaurants, and retail can't handle another price. When their bills go up, they pass the cost on to you. That means higher prices for everything: food, transport, heating, and everyday essentials. And what about renewables? While the UK has made progress in wind and solar energy, it's nowhere near enough to replace fossil fuels in the short term. Until we fix this dependency, we're stuck in a cycle of price shocks and uncertainty. So what happens next? Blackouts? More businesses shutting down? Higher costs across the board? One thing is certain: this crisis isn't over, and 2025 could be the year it all spirals out of control. But while rising energy costs are painful, another crisis is creeping in that could completely change life as we know it: the death of the UK high street. Let's talk about why retail is collapsing faster than ever. Number 6. The retail apocalypse. Walk through any town in the UK and you'll see it. Empty shops and abandoned high streets that once buzzed with life. The UK retail sector is in free fall, and what's coming next could change the way we shop forever. Big-name stores that once dominated the high street, Wilko, Debenhams, Topshop, are gone. And more are following. Even major supermarket chains are cutting jobs and shutting locations. But it's not just the big brands. Small family-run shops are disappearing at an even faster rate. The reason? People simply aren't spending like they used to. With the cost of living crisis tightening wallets, shopping for non-essentials has become a luxury, and when people do shop, they're doing it online. Giants like Amazon are dominating, offering lower prices and fast delivery, something local stores just can't compete with. And then there's the rising cost of running a business. Retailers are dealing with higher rents, energy bills, and business rates dropping. Many are being forced to shut down, not because they want to, but because they have no choice. But here's the real danger: once these shops are gone, they're gone for good. The local butcher, the independent bookstore, the cozy cafe that's been there for years, replaced by empty units, betting shops, or soulless chain stores. This isn't just about losing places to shop, it's about losing community, jobs, and the heart of our towns and cities. And while the retail sector crumbles, another crisis is quietly building that could send the UK into a full-blown financial meltdown: bank runs and a potential collapse of the banking system. Here's why your money may not be as safe as you think. Number 7. The bank runs no one is talking about. Imagine waking up one morning, checking your bank balance, withdraw your own money. The bank has temporarily restricted withdrawals due to a liquidity crisis. Sounds like a movie plot, right? Well, it's happened before, and the warning signs are flashing again. In 2008, Northern Rock collapsed, triggering the UK's worst banking crisis in modern history. People lined up outside banks, desperate to pull their money out before it was too late. Fast forward to today, and while things might seem stable on the surface, cracks are already forming. With rising interest rates and economic instability, UK banks are under pressure. Mortgage defaults are increasing, businesses are failing, and people are struggling to pay back loans. When banks start losing money, they tighten lending, making it harder for people and businesses to borrow. A vicious cycle that can tip the economy into full-blown crisis. And here's where it gets even riskier. Most banks operate on a fractional reserve system. That means they only keep cash on hand. If too many people withdraw their money at once, the system collapses. There have already been small warning signs: banks quietly restricting cash withdrawals, digital banking outages, and growing fears of a credit crunch. If one major financial institution fails, panic could spread instantly, causing a domino effect across the entire economy. So the real question is, how safe is your money? If things take a turn for the worse, do you have a backup plan? And while a banking crisis would be devastating, it's not the only financial disaster looming, because the British pound itself is in trouble. Let's talk about why the UK's currency could be at risk of a major collapse. Number 8. The British pound is in trouble. Most people don't think much about exchange rates until suddenly their money doesn't buy as. And right now, the British pound is weakening, raising serious concerns about the UK's financial future. Over the past few years, the pound has struggled against major currencies like the US dollar and the euro. And here's why that matters. A weak currency makes everything more expensive. The UK imports a massive amount of goods, from food to electronics to fuel. When the pound loses value, imports cost more, pushing prices even higher for businesses and consumers. Think about it like this. If the pound weakens further, your paycheck won't stretch as far. Inflation has already been brutal, but a falling currency could make it even worse. More expensive fuel, higher grocery bills, pricier holidays abroad, everything gets hit. And it's not just about everyday spending. Foreign investors are pulling money out of the UK. Confidence in the British economy. And when investors lose faith, they move their money elsewhere, making the pound even weaker. This is exactly what happened during the 2022 mini-budget crisis, when the pound nearly collapsed overnight. If the government fails to stabilize the economy, we could be looking at a serious currency crisis. And once a currency spiral starts, it's incredibly hard to stop. Just ask countries that have been through it. Economic instability, rising costs, and financial chaos follow. And if that wasn't bad enough, there's another threat to jobs and incomes that no one is truly prepared for. AI and automation are taking over faster than anyone expected. Let's talk about why millions of UK jobs could be at risk in the coming years. Number 9. The AI takeover. For decades, we've been told that technology creates more jobs than it destroys. When AI advances so quickly that it replaces workers faster than new industries can absorb them. That's the terrifying reality we're heading toward, and the UK is not ready. Automation isn't just taking over factory work anymore. AI is now replacing jobs in banking, customer service, journalism, law, and even medicine. Chatbots are handling customer support, AI-powered legal software is drafting contracts, and some financial firms are using algorithms instead of human analysts. The scary part. These aren't low-skilled jobs. These are careers that once seemed safe. A study by PwC estimated that over 30% of UK jobs could be at risk of automation by the early 2030s. But at the rate AI is developing, that timeline could be much shorter. Companies are already costs, replacing them with AI-driven tools that don't need salaries, benefits, or breaks. And here's where it gets worse. Most people aren't prepared. The government hasn't put forward a clear strategy for reskilling workers, meaning millions could be left behind. If businesses don't invest in retraining, the UK could face an unemployment crisis on a scale we've never seen before. So what happens next? Will new AI-driven industries create enough jobs to replace the ones being lost? Or will the gap between the rich and the working class grow wider than ever before? One thing is certain, economic uncertainty breeds political chaos. And with an election on the horizon, global tensions rising, and a fractured leadership, the UK's political instability could be the final straw that pushes the economy over the edge. Let's talk about why. Political instability. A weak economy is bad enough, but when you mix in political uncertainty, leadership crises, and global instability, the situation becomes even more dangerous. And right now, the UK is on shaky ground. With another general election looming, no one knows what direction the country will take. Will the current government stay in power? Will there be a leadership change? And more importantly, will any of them have a real plan to fix this economic disaster? Because so far, all we've seen is short-term policies, broken promises, and political infighting while the economy crumbles. But here's the bigger issue. Investors hate uncertainty. When there's instability in leadership, businesses and foreign investors get nervous. They pull their money out, delay expansion plans, and stop hiring. This slows down economic growth even further, situation even worse. And it's not just domestic politics. Global tensions are also making things worse. The UK is still dealing with the long-term effects of Brexit, ongoing trade disputes, and rising tensions between major world economies like the US, China, and the EU. If global markets take a hit, the UK, already struggling, will feel the impact even harder. History has shown us that when economies weaken, political tensions rise. Protests, strikes, and civil unrest become more common. People lose faith in the system, and once that happens, it's incredibly difficult to regain stability. So where does this leave us? An economy hanging by a thread, a government scrambling for solutions, and a public growing more frustrated by the day. The warning signs are everywhere, and 2025 could be the tipping point for the UK economy. Are we heading for disaster, or is there still a way out? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you found this video valuable, don't let it go to waste. Check out our last video. It connects directly to everything we talked about today. We put a massive amount of effort into bringing you these deep dives. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, and it helps us keep making content that matters.